Welcome back guys to another video on the channel, and welcome to a video that is long overdue. I was meaning to do this earlier, but I think I just didn't have the time and didn't get around to addressing the video that I wanted to address, which is my season predictions from earlier on in the year. So approximately 9-10 months ago, I made a video saying that these are my predictions for the F1 2022 season, and as you guys know, it's been about a month since the season ended, so I want to address it now before the year ends. It is almost the end of the year. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a festive holiday season, and I wish you all well in the new year. But enough of the introduction. Let's head straight into my predictions and see what I got right and what I got wrong, and if I am a person who knows driving wheel or if I don't know driving wheel. So let's head into it. Make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. 66.6% of you are not subscribed at this time. The devil's number, my goodness. So let's move away from that, and please do consider subscribing. It would help me out a lot and also keep you in the loop with the content I'm making on here. Also check out the community tab on the regular so that you're notified when I go live. I will be live streaming here and there, and hopefully you can join me in one of the F1 22 sessions. Take care guys, enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, so here we are with the first part of the video, which is going to be the constructors. Brand new car, brand new construction of the vehicle in general, so a lot of it was up in the air. We had a lot of people expecting shuffling in the field, that a lot of teams would struggle here and there because of the different cars and the brand new developments they had to make. So yeah, I was in the similar boat. I thought things would be shuffling a bit, but also maybe replicating itself a little with the 2021 season, 2020 season. So I don't know. I think my judgments were a little based on the kind of momentum a lot of teams had at the end of 2021, and then I was thinking they would bring it along to the 2022 season, but it just didn't seem like it, to be honest. Let's be honest here. From the bottom to the top, of course. So I had Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, and Alpine fighting for the back of the grid, and boy was I wrong massively. Let me just go a little further and say Williams and Haas would be a midfield team, and I was a little wrong in that as well, because I saw that Williams were trying to make a push for some more points. We saw that at the end of 2021 season with George Russell scoring some big points and really pushing the car into the points positions. We also saw that with Albon this year when he took over George Russell's seat essentially, and he was fighting for some points as well, which is quite impressive. And yeah, Haas as well, they were investing a lot into the 2022 car, so I thought they would be really a dark horse with the team that would shock the world, to be honest, but it just didn't happen, did it? So let's go to the official constructors chart here, which is Williams, AlphaTauri, Haas, Aston Martin, and Alfa Romeo in the bottom 5 positions. And I gotta say, I really underestimated Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin. The biggest one was Alpine, which I'll get to in a moment, but Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin, I thought they weren't going to be too great, because I thought Aston Martin would struggle with Lawrence Stroll at the helm and the whole chaos in the staff that they had. I thought they would struggle with development, struggle with strategy, struggle with the pairing of the drivers and the strat team and the development team. I thought it was just going to be a huge chaos in the team. And I think also what helped them was that a lot of teams struggled in the early stages of the season, so they were able to scrap away at some leftovers from the scrap at the front. So I think they got a couple lucky points positions to score so many points. I gotta say, Haas was underwhelming a little, because they had a splendid start at the start, right? Magnussen in the points. We had points galore for Haas in the early stages. They showed pace, but then they just dwindled off into the back half of the grid. They just weren't scoring points. They were really very quiet throughout race weekends. We didn't see many highlights of them, except for maybe Mick Schumacher and Magnussen fighting and overtaking a couple cars, but I think overall they just really were underwhelming and only scored 37 points. That was a bit of a shame that they didn't score much more, considering also that they invested heavily in the later car. So they were investing a lot of their money. Essentially Mazepin's money went into the 2022 car, and because of the war in Ukraine, I think, and a lot of political issues, Haas had to drop Mazepin for this season, and it turned out to be a good investment to bring back Kevin Magnussen. Not only did it bring sponsorships, but also the Kevin Magnussen is actually a decent driver, and his experience really showed in his return, and he did pretty well, I think, overall, given the car of his caliber. Thought they would expect more points. I thought they would score more points. They're qualifying around, I think it was Brazil, where Magnussen scored a P1, which is unbelievable. But yeah, it's just underwhelming to see them down in P8. AlphaTauri was the bigger shocker. I thought they would do well. I thought they would be a midfield team, but it seems like AlphaTauri and Alpine switched positions. Alpine showed real pace towards the middle half of the season, I'd say. They really showed the skill as well between Ocon and Alonso. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with Ocon's progression as a driver. He's improved quite a bit and helped out Alonso, but also fought with him towards the end. I think the scrap between the two drivers cost him a couple points there, but hey, it happens. Team order should have stepped in, but I don't think Otmar Zafnauer had that kind of power to shut them up a little. You know, just say drive and keep it safe. You know, no squabbling to lose points, but you know, they did their thing, and I think they did valiantly well to score as many points as he did. But AlphaTauri, I thought they would do better. I thought they were, you know, the second team of Red Bull. Obviously, that's the title that they have, but I thought they would replicate the rise of Red Bull and just really develop the car to a point where they would be contending for maybe even podiums. But it was just a shame that they weren't up there a lot of times. They just had a slow car. Gasly struggled a lot, so it really shows. Tsunoda improved quite a bit, I must say. He did crash the car a lot in the previous season, and I think that has slowly died down. He even mentioned himself that he was shocked to have a contract for 2022 season because he crashed the car out so much, and his attitude was kind of rough, I would say. But it makes great entertainment for us as viewers, so it's great to see Yuki Tsunoda succeed at AlphaTauri and do well, and I think it's been a meteoric rise for them throughout the season. But I gotta say, really underwhelming with the car, really underwhelming with the pace. They were really just struggling in the back of the grid, scoring like 0 points throughout most of the weekends, scoring only 35 by the end of the season, which is a bit of a struggle for them, so it's a shame. And Williams, I gotta say, we expected a bit from Williams with how they were performing at the end of 2021 season, but by 2022 they just went back to being a back marker. I really hope that they invest a lot in the next car and try to push that car up. We got De Vries coming in instead of Nicholas Latifi, so we'll see if the pairing of Albon and De Vries is going to really push Williams up. I'm excited to see how De Vries will perform, considering the one time he did step in, he was able to score points, which was amazing, absolutely amazing from De Vries, and I'm expecting a lot from him in the next season. Now moving up to Alfa Romeo. Wow, what a season Guan Yu Zhou had. Zhou did pretty well, but of course Valtteri Bottas did a lot of heavy lifting in the early stages, but you gotta say Zhou did exceptionally well for his first season in Formula 1. I gotta give him the Rookie of the Year award. Obviously, he's the only rookie in the F1 grid for 2022, but really, he did outstandingly well to score some points for Alfa Romeo, but also provide them with the support that Valtteri Bottas needed to really push the car forward. And his, consistency is absolutely admirable. Like, he was just pushing the car. Practicing was good. His practice sessions looked solid as well. So I'm expecting a lot from him in the next season as well. I would assume that Alfa Romeo would do well next season. But the only question is, will they get a decent team principal to replace Vasseur, who's going to Ferrari? Of course, that was announced a couple weeks ago, or a couple days ago, was it? I don't know, but yeah, that change might be something that is noteworthy, because I think Vasseur had a lot to do with the team's cohesion, the bonding between the drivers and the staff, and the whole development phase. So we'll see. We will see what happens to Alfa Romeo. Of course, I think, is it next season? Wait, 2023? No, they have a couple more seasons with Alfa Romeo, and then Sauber's going to move on to Audi, right? So they're going to replace Alfa Romeo. It's going to be interesting to see how that transition works, and if Audi's going to have any influence over the future of Alfa Romeo over the next 2 seasons. I doubt it, but it's always interesting to see if they're in the back trying to learn from the experience of what Alfa Romeo is going through, and maybe they'll be pushing up. Who knows? But lastly, the top half of the group here: McLaren, Alpine, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull from 5th to 1st. I was expecting Red Bull to win it this year, and it showed. It really showed with Max Verstappen's grit and passion. Although the end of the season didn't really shine well on Red Bull and Max Verstappen, but I gotta, give props to him for the season. What a season he's had. Absolutely stunning race. Really well done with Red Bull. He was consistent. He pushed the car. Even when he was put to the back of the grid, he just pushed that car to the limit and was absolutely stunning throughout the season. And he thoroughly showed that he deserved that Constructors as well as the Drivers' Championship. Perez did exceptionally well this season as well to push the car up close to Max Verstappen. I think he's been consistently improving, especially with qualifying, because I did mention in the prediction that Sergio Perez was a letdown of the team. He was going to really cost Red Bull some points, but it didn't really show this season. He did show some pace, but he wasn't at the level of Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is just different gravy. I think there's no one that can replicate his pace around the Red Bull Academy at this time, so I think Sergio Perez is a solid backup. He's done brilliantly well to support Max Verstappen's title chase, so no wonder he's staying with Red Bull. I think he will retire soon with Red Bull, so we'll see. We will see how they do. But on to the other cars here. McLaren and Alpine down in P5 and P4. I did not expect that. I thought McLaren were going to be higher up, but they struggled at the early stages. And Daniel Ricciardo just lost his mojo, I think. He wasn't really fast. Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo had a massive performance gap, especially with qualifying and also during the race. And then towards the end of the season, you could just see Daniel Ricciardo chase Lando Norris a little bit more, getting into the points and finishing relatively closer to each other than at the start of the season. And the car just didn't perform, did it? Early stages, it just didn't perform. And they never really had that boost up into the top half of the grid until like very late. Lando Norris scoring 1 podium throughout the season. So, wow. That was unexpected. I think they were expected to score more podiums, score more points, but I think they were lucky to finish P5. The development rate was very slow, but then they did kind of push the car towards the second half of the season, which was good to see, especially with the general issue of porpoising, right? All teams struggled with porpoising, and I think McLaren struggled with that a lot this season. And yeah, I gotta say, underwhelming according to my predictions. Alpine were a midfield team, and they stayed a midfield team, and it really shows that they want to keep that midfield position and eventually push for the top in the next couple seasons, especially with the regulation changes. I think they will adjust nicely. But if you look at P3 of Mercedes and P4 of Alpine, you just see a massive points gap there, 400, 340 points or so. Yeah, it just shows that the midfield is so far behind, and they were very slow to catch up to the front runners. And I gotta say, Mercedes struggled early doors, right? They were very, very, very bad. They were a midfield team. And then all of a sudden they found the answers and pushed the car up the grid. And I think it has to do with a lot of what George Russell pulled out and also what Lewis Hamilton did. The drivers really did well to keep that car in competition with the front runners, and especially in the second half of the season. That's when they really showed their pace, and it was great to see Mercedes rise back up. They were a bit of a laughingstock in the early stages, but they showed their true colors at the end, saying we're still here, we're pushing for that title next season, which I think they may actually retrieve with the developments that they're expecting for next season. I can see the passion in the team, and I think they will really push for the title next time. And then, of course, we got to come to the heartbreak of the season, especially with Ferrari. A lot of teams were praying for the Scuderia to be up there and maybe even challenge for the title, but it just slipped out of their hands. A lot of mistakes, and Mattia Binotto leaving Ferrari was, I think, the right call. Just no strategy, sometimes engine failures, and overall, I mean, given the driver errors, even if that stayed, I think Ferrari struggled too much, lost too many points with strategy and durability issues. If durability and strategy issues were down to a minimum, I actually think they would have challenged Red Bull for the title. I think it would have come down to the wire, maybe to the Brazilian Grand Prix or maybe even Abu Dhabi. But yeah, they just lost it too early because of errors. And yeah, it's a whole mess down at Ferrari, and I'm exceptionally excited to see what Vasseur will do with Ferrari, because I feel like he'll get a grip with the team, say, hey, no more silly business, we're gonna take this seriously, which is what he did with Alfa Romeo, right? I think he had a solid grip of the team and a solid grip of how strategy will work, development, and the drivers. So I'm excited to see what he can do at Ferrari. Hopefully Ferrari fans will have a lot more to celebrate next time in the next season. And then of course the victors, Red Bull themselves, absolutely dominated from the start. Although they did push ahead of the cost cap, didn't they? They went over budget with their cars, so they are getting penalized for the next season. I don't know. We'll see how big of an impact that is going to have. But the car that they have right now, oh, thing of beauty, absolute beauty. And that is what gave Red Bull the chance to get the drivers as well as constructors. They defended they defended the drivers title and then regained the constructors after a long hiatus, losing out to Mercedes so many years, and then they finally were able to push for the constructors again. Absolutely stunning drive from them as well. So I gotta say, the season was really a mess. Mercedes, I kind of got. I thought they were gonna be a lot better than expected, but hey, I got lucky with their push at the end. I didn't expect Ferrari to be this high. Yeah, so I think I got a lot of these wrong, all of them wrong except for Red Bull, which is a shame. But yeah, the season's craziness was what caused this, I guess. It replicates the craziness of the season. Now moving on to the driver standings. This is my prediction. The top 5 were going to be Lando Norris, George Russell, Sergio Perez, Hamilton, and Max Verstappen in that order. Well, I got a lot of these right actually. I didn't expect Ferrari to be that strong, especially with Leclerc being able to secure P2. But I did get 3 correct. Max Verstappen winning the championship, Sergio Perez in 3rd, and George Russell in 4th. I didn't expect the duo of Leclerc and Sainz to be this high up on the points, but they did. I guess it's a lot of the early stages of the season coming to help them, and consistent points finishes as the rest of the field struggled with their cars. Ferrari, of course, did develop quite intensely throughout the winter break, and they were able to score a lot of points early doors and also maintain a couple points finishes throughout the season. I think what we were depressed about with Ferrari was that they weren't higher than what they had right now. I think Carlos Sainz should have been closer to Leclerc, and I think Leclerc should have been way closer to Max Verstappen. At least that's what we were expecting, but they were just struggling. And the fact that Mercedes, who struggled so much in the early half of the season, overtook Carlos Sainz with George Russell, it just shows that Ferrari had an absolute honker of a season. Very poor season. Lando Norris wasn't too far away. He's down in P7, about 120 points away from P5, 124 points away from P5, but you got to give it to the car, man. Lando Norris did very well with the car he had, scored a podium in one of the races, and was able to score a lot of points, but the car just let him down. And I think McLaren will try to boost that car for the next season, so I would expect Lando Norris to be a lot higher next season. So yeah, I got 3 out of 5 right. So before I go, of course, a lot of you guys have been asking me about my MVP of the season. I think it's going to be difficult to put the MVP on one driver, but I gotta say, I am exceptionally impressed by runner-up Guan Yu Zhou. I think he was great. Also, I think George Russell did amazingly well to get P4 in the driver standings, but I think the most outstanding driver of the season is Valtteri Bottas. He was under the radar for most of the season, but with a car of Alfa Romeo's status, he did very well to push that car up to the points and score as many points as he did. After leaving Mercedes, we were like, I think he's pending retirement. He's just not gonna show his brilliance anymore. That's at least what the rumors were saying. But hey, Valtteri Bottas just shut everyone up with his performances, really pushed that car to the limit, and look at the like how high he put that Alfa Romeo up. It just made eyes, you know, shine at Valtteri Bottas's name, because he was like, what the heck is that car doing all the way up there? So yeah, I'm exceptionally impressed with Valtteri Bottas. Of course, Sebastian Vettel did also very well with Aston Martin, and he retired this season. So alles Gute, Seb. Hope you're doing well in your retirement, and hope to see you on the F1 grid soon. But yeah, that is it for the video, I guess. I didn't want to speak too much for too long. This is just my prediction, reaction to the predictions and reaction to the season. Of course, you may have different ideas. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of the F1 2022 season. And yeah, well, I'm excited about what teams will develop over the winter break and what will happen next season. Of course, it's been a wild ride. I thoroughly enjoyed this season, but I'm a little concerned about the number of races for next season. While having, 24 races is a blast, I am a little worried about durability, penalties, and the quality of the races, because so much traveling, so much wear on the engine, so much wear on the whole staff, whole crew of F1. I think it's gonna take a toll on this season. I think a lot of teams are going to struggle. I think we're going to see a lot of DNFs in next season with the number of races we have. A lot of penalties, meaning that a lot of drivers will be shifting around and making things unpredictable. We will see. I'm excited for that. I'll make a predictions video later on in next year, maybe before the season starts, after we see some of the new cars that will be unveiled in February, maybe around March before the season starts. I'll make another prediction video. And yeah, with that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe using the red button down below, hit the notification bell as well so you're notified as soon as I upload next. More F1 content, driver career mode, F1 manager, etc. will be going up on my channel, so hope to see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Happy New Year if you guys are seeing it on that day, and take care. See you in the next one.